All right, let's dive into a story today. It's about an enemy we all face, but it's one that's super common and honestly pretty dangerous. I'm talking about casually, almost invisibly, wasting time. This is the story of a young guy who didn't lose his life in some big dramatic failure. Nope, he lost it to all those small, comfortable, empty hours that just quietly added up to a whole lost decade. And this quote, man, this just gets right to the heart of it. The biggest threats in our lives, they're not always the loud, sudden disasters. More often than not, they're the quiet habits, right? The daily routines that feel so harmless, but are actually, slowly, just eating away at our future. Think about it. While other people were out there building something, he was waiting. While they were learning, he was just scrolling. Okay, so let's meet the guy at the center of the story. His name is Ethan. And, he's a young man with tons of potential, but zero direction. Absolutely none. If you looked at his life from the outside, everything seemed totally normal. But underneath all that, it was silently, corrosively, just falling apart. And what's crazy is just how normal this loop sounds, right? I mean, wake up late, scroll for a bit, watch some videos. It actually feels comfortable, kind of relaxing, doesn't it? See, he wasn't getting into trouble or flunking out of school. He was just there, existing. And every single day ended with that same old empty promise we've all made to ourselves. Tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll start for real. But that's the trap, isn't it? That's the whole game. That little daily loop, when you repeat it over and over again, it doesn't just waste a day. It compounds. It's like negative interest. And over the years, it creates this massive, almost impossible gap between where you are and where everyone else seems to be. And this slide just says it all. It perfectly captures that disconnect. Because in his head, right, in his imagination, Ethan was this world-class photographer. He was a successful freelancer, helping his parents out. But in his room, in the real world, he was just scrolling, watching videos, dreaming. His mind was incredibly busy, but his life, it was totally, completely stagnant. Just look at this timeline. It shows you just how fast it all adds up. At 21, a friend gets a job in the city, and Ethan's thinking, I'll start something too, but first I'm just gonna relax a bit. Well, a bit turned into 3 years. Suddenly, he's 24. His cousin gets promoted, a childhood friend buys a car, and he's still telling himself, it's not too late, I've got time. And then, poof, he's 28, still in the same room, still scrolling, because time wasn't waiting around for him to feel ready. And here's the absolute core of the problem. He wasn't lazy in his mind, not at all. He was addicted to planning, addicted to thinking. He was addicted to the idea of tomorrow. He loved that little rush you get from a new plan, from dreaming about success. But here's the thing. Life doesn't reward dreamers. It only rewards doers. And he was just a dreamer, sitting in his room. So for 8 whole years, he's living in this cozy little delusion, right? Telling himself, my time will come, I'll get to it. But then, one evening, a single moment, just a simple phone call, and that one call shattered everything and forced him to look a wasted decade right in the face. So picture this. He's on his bed, just scrolling, same as any other night. And his phone rings. It's an old friend, Daniel. Daniel tells him he's getting married, and he remembers Ethan's old passion for photography. So he makes this incredible offer. Hey, I want you to do my wedding shoot. And for just a split second, it feels like a sign from the universe, a validation of that dream he'd been keeping alive in his head for all these years. But then, bam, reality hits him like a punch to the gut. The dream was still there in his head. But his camera, it was buried somewhere in his closet, collecting dust. He hadn't practiced. He hadn't learned anything new. He hadn't improved one bit. His hands were totally empty. He had nothing to offer. So he did the only thing he could think to do. He lied. He told his friend he'd given up photography a long time ago. After he hung up the phone, the silence in that room was just crushing. He walked over to the mirror, and for the first time in what felt like forever, he actually looked at himself. Really looked. And he didn't recognize the person staring back. The tired eyes, the slumped shoulders, the kid who wanted to tell stories with a camera, he was just gone, replaced by the stranger who had betrayed him. And you have to understand what he felt in that moment. It wasn't the loud, dramatic pain of failure. No, this was something worse. It was that quiet, gnawing, sinking feeling of regret. It was the devastating realization that the one and only person who had stolen his future was him. He was the thief.
That night was it. That was his rock bottom. But you know what they say about rock bottom? It's a solid foundation to build on. And from all that despair, a decision was made. It wasn't some loud, I'm gonna change my life motivational speech to himself. It was a quiet, firm commitment to just take his life back. One small, boring step at a time.
And he had this total mindset shift. It wasn't about chasing success anymore. It wasn't about getting rich or famous. His new mantra was simple. I'm not chasing success. I'm chasing discipline. The new goal was just to earn back his own self-respect. It was all about the process, not the prize. And just look at these first steps. There's nothing glamorous here, right? Day 1, wake up at 6:30, clean his room. Day 2, watch a few beginner photography tutorials. Pure skill, zero dopamine rush. Day 3, go outside and take 100 really awkward photos. Days 5 through 7, just repeat the process. No results, no feedback, no applause. Just quiet, consistent rebuilding. He was finally trading that cheap dopamine for real, actual work.
Okay, so fast forward a year. He's 29 now. And he gets his first paid client. It was for $30. 30! To shoot a toddler's birthday party. But he treated that $30 job like it was the biggest gig of his life. He spent like 10 hours editing those photos. Because that $30, it wasn't a prize to go spend, it was a resource. He took that money and immediately reinvested it in a new camera lens. And that became his new rule.
He absolutely knew, he had to protect his time like it was a fortress. So he built this incredibly strict system for himself, waking up before 6 a.m., reading books, not screens. 90-minute deep work sessions, no interruptions. No more parties, no mindless scrolling, no chasing trends, just work, health, growth, and repeat. Yeah, he probably became pretty boring to the outside world, but for the first time in his life, he was building something real on the inside.
Look, Ethan's story is powerful stuff, but the most important part is what you can take away from it. This isn't just some story about a guy named Ethan. It's a final warning. It's a set of urgent, hard-won lessons from a decade he can never get back.
So let's break down these lessons, the 5 big takeaways from 10 lost years. First, wasting time is the single most expensive mistake you can make. Second, comfort is the most addictive drug on the planet. Third, nobody is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. Fourth, you don't need a perfect plan. You just need to move. Messy action today beats a perfect plan for tomorrow every single time. And finally, number 5, you can rebuild, but every single day you wait, you're just adding to the debt. And this is the bottom line. 10 years. He can never, ever get them back. No amount of success, no amount of discipline now can rewind that clock. That time is just gone forever. That is the irreversible price of doing nothing. And that really brings us to the hard truth of it all. Time doesn't kill you. You kill yourself by wasting it. See, time itself is neutral. It doesn't care. It doesn't have an agenda. We are the ones who decide what to do with it. We either use it to build something, or we let everything burn to the ground through our own neglect. So this all comes down to a final question for you. The future. It's not some far-off, abstract idea. It is coming. It will arrive. And when it does, it's going to ask you one simple question. What did you do with your time? Ethan's story is a hell of a warning, but it's also an opportunity for you to make sure you have an answer you can be proud of.